Yeah.
It appears.
We're good. Oh. Welcome to the Barbershop Podcast.
There we go. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Cold beers abound.
Yes, we're busy handing beers. We're a little bit behind today.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are we rocking?
We're rocking.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you getting nothing there?
I got nothing.
Oh, yeah. No, we're live.
We are
going.
Look at this. Even I can figure this one out.
Oh, way to go.
I can hear myself, which is usually my most
Podcast 101. Make sure you plug in, right?
There we go. I can hear the king of rock and roll. Here we are, Barbershop Podcast, episode number 46.
Yes, with the most awkward beginning ever.
Where are you people going? October 2nd, and we're in the middle of a heat wave. Can you believe it, Ryan Cannon?
It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. Hamilton, Ontario, the center of probably the greatest music that's ever graced the face of the earth.
Easily.
Planet.
The planet, thank you.
Planet.
The entire planet. Which is, how's that different than the earth?
It's not.
It's not, but I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here, and we're live.
Good to be here.
Justin TV, Barbershop Podcast. Get on barbershoppodcast.com. Watch it every week. And this week we have in the studio, Ryan, Mr. Gavin O Sullivan, who is part of the Hamilton musical legacy. He is a layer in the bricks, as they say, and he's here to tell us about how he came up and happened to be a musician in Hamilton and what he's doing now and what's brought him back on his whirlwind autumn 2013 tour. Gavin O Sullivan, welcome
autumn
to the Barbershop.
Here I am. Thank you. Good to see you, Kevin. I haven't seen you in many years.
Ryan,
I've not met you before, but nice to meet you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, we've got Elvis.
It's been
in the
fun
building.
so far.
Yeah,
Elvis is in the building.
It's a little crazy. It's a bit after the fact.
crazy.
You got your list, right? And being a musician, there's these big periods in between where you're not busy.
Yes.
And when you're busy, it's awesome to be crazy busy, isn't it?
And I've been crazy busy, absolutely.
Tell me about what you've been doing in the last week.
The last week, well, since I've got here, I went to a house party and played some music and jammed with some old friends from the Rayburns and the Responsibles. I ended up, playing at the Lazy Flamingo last night. And met some musicians there, guys and girls slugging it out, even now, just having some fun, playing all sorts of different types of music, some blues, some hip hop. And then I was on Lose Control show today. I did that, and the Crawling King Snakes were there. So I've met people that I've seen.
And that was a total surprise. You walk in and they're there?
Yeah, no, I just basically crashed it. I just said, screw you guys. I'm coming in here, and I just push them out of the way. Because I haven't seen those guys. Steve I've seen, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Steve's an old bandmate of mine who I've played with for many years. Saw him a couple of years ago. But the other guys have not seen in like 15, 16 years. And that seems to be the theme of the whole week so far, is like people that I have not seen for a long time. All of a sudden, they're sort of, you got the music buzz, and they're sort of like
popping out of the woodwork.
And people are still,
and
people, as much as they change, they're still the same. They're still doing the same thing. Although their circumstances have changed, they still have that passion for music, especially in Hamilton. It just seems to be happening.
Well, let's talk about that, because it's a common theme that runs through this show, is like music in Hamilton and how it's indelible, like a tattoo. You get that thing, and that's part of who you are. That's part of who you sound like for the rest of your life. How did music kind of come into your life early on?
Early on, I was sort of actually. This is not very many people know this. They think of me as a rock and roll sort of, rough and tumble type guy. But I sort of grew up in the theater scene, and I was with
I was going to do a spit take, but I had to swallow it. Beer's so good. Go on.
It's all good. I was in the Hamilton Theater, and I did sort of professional theater and did acting. How
old were you when this was going on?
And this was all around 12 to 16 years old. And I had not started Westdale yet, so I was just in, Dalewood, sort of George L. Armstrong. So, I had moved around quite a bit. So I was kind of in the early stages of, just sort of forming some sort of love for music.
Right.
And that came through the theater. And then, actually, just starting high school, a buddy of mine there's popular music going on. I started getting into new wave music of, different bands that were coming up. But I think my music taste was still very sort of vanilla. It still hadn't really sort of reached any edge.
Yeah.
And my buddy gave me a Clash tape, the first Clash album, the self-titled album, with White Man and Hammersmith Ballet on it. I had, London's Burning, all the sort of, He gave it to me, and I listened to it, and I went back to him the next day, and I said, "Oh, I don't know, man. This is punk. This is like nothing I'm used to." But then I went back and listened to it again, and I listened to it again, and all of a sudden, I started, really connecting with it, and really sort of finding, and then I started getting into the Alarm, and started getting into all these bands that had, and then U2 and the whole Big Country and that sort of whole, I guess, 80s wave of alts, whatever, or I guess whatever it was called then, new wave. It was kind of new rock.
Yeah, they were struggling to try to pigeonhole it at the time, but there was a lot of good music, and it was the birth also of video, where
absolutely
or
much
style,
music. Yep.
style, and being a stylish, good-looking, sellable band, you can tell the people who were making it embraced it.
Yes.
Instead of running from it, they're saying, okay, I can still make good music, but I'm going to make a visual impact as well. Was that like, especially at that age, because music is so identifiable and it's tough with, because that's the badge you wear when you're a kid,
right.
when you're coming up through the ranks. Were you like conscious of it? Because I remember coming in the early 80s to Hamilton. I was raised on the what would be called classic rock or arena rock at the time.
Yeah.
And I met guys at Mohawk who said, listen to The Clash, listen to Black Flag, listen to Gen X, listen to this. And I was exposed to that, but for the first time, video was presenting itself too on a pretty wide basis. Were you conscious of that at the fact, or you like?
Well, you mean conscious of the style? You mean?
Yeah. Did you just follow your heart as far as music, or were you like, that looked cool, that sounds cool? Were you like
no, I wasn't like. I guess I wasn't. I guess maybe I was in the theater crowd, or like kind of from that. I was kind of already sort of introduced to a lot of extroverts, and that sort of led me to, just sort of, just going with whatever I liked, sort of not being, with the in crowd or whatever. I sort of ended up liking, plus I had, and this is an influence of a family influence, where I had an older brother who wasn't a musician, but while in my room I was playing, maybe Duran Duran or Michael Jackson, he was playing, Zeppelin, Van Halen, that type of stuff, Metallica. So I think I also got a bit of influence. I know for sure I got a bit of influence from him. Of if he was listening to all the same stuff as I was listening to, that probably wouldn't have been a good thing for my musical sort of input.
Right.
Besides friends or whatever, I think family input is also important. And my parents bringing me up with a lot of Beatles, a lot of Everly Brothers. So I had an instant love for harmonies and for a good melody. And I think that kind of ingrained in me somehow.
Yeah. When you hear music around the house a lot when you're young, I'm convinced of that. Melodies come to you, because that was in your formative years omnipresent. Yeah, especially during the Beatles. I'm sorry, but I think because you hear that on a regular basis, that's what you're going to wind up reproducing. Yep. So on that note, when did you pick up a guitar, if that was your first instrument, or because you were doing theater, were you singing at that point? Did you already have a confident vocal? I had a confident vocal. I remember getting a write-up in the Hamilton Spectator saying, this guy's really got promise. Like this was in a show at Hamilton Place. This guy's really got promise, but his vocal sounds like sandpaper going through a grinder. And then, my voice is changing. You're 14, 15, 16 years old. Devastating.
But no, I thought that's kind of cool. I said, it's not like I didn't have a pretty boy voice, but I think and eventually, I took the shots and say, hey, if somebody makes fun of your voice, and maybe in a sense, internally it makes you work at it more, makes you want to be better. Right. Okay, well maybe I should, work on my voice, and so I was singing at that point, to get back to your question, not to ramble. And although the show is about rambling,
it's encouraged, absolutely.
Oh, did you just unplug?
No. Shh.
Okay, so he's not listening to a word I say. He's just nodding his head and laughing.
I'm gonna tie this up. Okay. Keep talking.
actually, I remember in Westdale, which I think I mentioned earlier on that I went to, which has a great history of music, like musicians and artists that come out of there. I ended up, I guess I couldn't play the flute and I couldn't play the clarinet. I don't know even why I wanted, like, there was a week maybe that I wanted to actually play those instruments. Not that I don't like those instruments, but it
made sense at the time.
I don't know, maybe because I just wanted to sit beside a nice looking girl. I don't know what it was in particular. But then I found a love for drums. It's like, okay, I'm going to play the snare drum for the orchestra. So I just started working on the snare drum, and I used to go to Westdale like at 5:30 in the morning and go into the music room and practice a full drum kit because I lived in an apartment. I couldn't actually play the drums at home. So here I was, waking up early instead of, going to the gym and working out or going to the track. I was going to the music room and playing the drums.
Right.
And I had a huge passion for the drums. I did a whole bunch of musics in a couple of years. And here I was out of high school. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to Mohawk College and I'm going to start taking music. So right from Westdale, jumped right to Mohawk, and I started doing the music program there.
And were you writing, obviously, all the time going in there, or was this part of the curriculum that forced you to start to write?
No, I was. I had a little Yamaha MX-1 4-track mixer, and I remember, just starting out writing really bad songs. Just sort of, really sort of starting to get your ears to grow and like, okay, the drums fit here and this is where your vocals fit. And, obviously limited in my knowledge of what what the sound was, back there even with those 4 tracks, you could get like some fairly decent recordings.
And it forced you to be creative.
So I'd be alone in my basement making little songs, and eventually, I guess by the time I got to college, that kind of grew into, it's more formal of a training, and it was jazz and classical. And I didn't really like jazz too much, and I didn't really like classical too much. I wanted to rock. Mm-hmm. And I remember, Mike Trebilcock from the Killjoys, he was in the same time as I was there. Sean Ashby was there. Andrew Aldridge, Stephen Foster. So there's all these sort of musicians sort of at the same time, roughly sort of going through the same process.
Yes.
And I guess beyond that, then I started, not really picking up the guitar until maybe halfway through college, where I started really sort of, finding more of my, guitar sort of as a love for the guitar.
Yeah. It's hard to write on the drums.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard to write. I'm sure you can write rhythms till you're blue in the face, but actually,
melodies
writing a song
soaked in your head, and you wanted to come up with that. So you're worried about, you're in an environment where you can learn the vocabulary. Was this now part of your self-discipline? Now I have to learn to be able to reproduce what I've got in my head.
Yeah. And plus the bands I was listening to, like I said, The Clash, G-Alarm, U2, and that they were bands, obviously, like a lot of guitar-oriented bands. And so I guess, hey, let's learn this song, okay, and you sort of slowly, just pluck away at the guitar. I never really had any formal training in guitar, but with my training at Mohawk, which is a pretty rounded, view of music, you sort of ingrain, okay, hey, this is a 1 chord, this is a 4 chord, this is a 5 chord. You sort of get all that technical training, so you kind of go, okay, you kind of roughly know your way around a chord progression or ABA, or how a song is sort of formed.
Right.
And then I completely forgot all of that, or I on purpose, because and I even though it's part of my training now, or part of it's ingrained in you, I don't like that in my music at all.
Yeah.
That sort of you kind of go back to it just naturally, but I don't like to analyze my music that way.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I've heard it both ways. It's been very constructive and destructive that some people under their breath say Buddy was better before he went to school because he learned all this theory now, and it kind of stripped him of what made him unique as a musician.
Exactly. And as good as the programs like Mohawk College, I mean, I can only compare to that, but as good as those programs are, they also produce a lot of musicians that sound the same.
Right.
That do the same type of thing and have the same guitar sound, or the same, go through the same training. But then there's also the musicians that break away from that And I'd like to think that, I'm one of them that sort of, found my own. And sometimes it takes a while to find your own groove. Sometimes, it could take years. Other times, right off the bat, right?
Okay, well, let's talk about when you started working with other musicians and starting to play out and starting to say, okay, I want to take this to the next level. When was that, and who was that?
Okay, I guess my first band, or sort of when I started actually sort of really sort of gelling with other musicians, was Stephen Foster from the King Snakes, and he, I guess it was sort of because we both went to Westdale and we sort of knew one another then, and we started jamming. We made a band called, we ended up hooking up with a couple of musicians from Mohawk, and we went into the studio on the mountain, and it was run by Rob Ott, and in the music business now. He still works in the music business, I believe, and we recorded this 3-song EP, or I guess on a cassette or whatever, and it was called back then it was very basic, and it was called Screaming Aunt Hazel. So here we are, and then I was playing the drums and singing. So I kind of had like this, I don't know, you say, hey, you're like Phil Collins. What are you talking about? We're not nothing like Phil Collins. Although I do totally appreciate Phil Collins, but on a whole other
level. No need to apologize, brother. We're all into that.
Oh, come on. He went really bad. Invisible Touch,
yeah.
Genesis.
In that exact same era, he went from being great to awful.
Yeah.
So.
But, so here I remember, and then Jamie Smith, people know him as Gunner. He was a mutual friend, or a friend that I kind of lived close by.
A hard-working musician.
Pardon?
And a hard-working musician.
And a hard-working, yeah. And he ended up booking us different shows. We ended up sort of like slowly making our way into a scene, as 19, 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just kind of figuring out, okay, now we got this cassette. I remember going down to CFMU. And getting them to play on it, and then going back into the car and listening to yourself on the radio, and it was it's just like a big thing, right? Oh, gee, we're on the radio, man! It's awesome. And then after that, I guess we kind of fast forward maybe a couple of years, and that band split, and Steve and I still were together writing songs. We ended up living together for a bit and just having different roommates, and then we found a couple other guys to play with, and that became the Odd Fellows.
Right.
And then we got booked into Westdale, and we did, and we sort of started and that was more of, I guess, maybe a 50-50 cover band where we'd play songs like by the Smithereens, we'd play songs by the Clash, some Doors, sort of like blues bar rock.
Yep, and mix in your own,
and then throw in our own songs, and slowly sort of make our way into the musical landscape that way.
Yeah, that was a very effective way to do it. People were much more receptive to your original music if you were entertaining them and not asking them to necessarily read your diary. But you were obviously working with a bunch of people. The advantage of getting someone's butt to move, right? Writing a rhythmic tune.
Totally.
Being a drummer, you probably it's in you where you feel.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make people dance, have a good time.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
You're no longer a Hamilton boy.
No.
When did you move out west?
9 years ago. And I transferred with my job. It was also sort of a musical escaping, so to say, because I think I kind of hit the wall musically, or creatively, and where I didn't, nothing was happening for me musically where I didn't feel that it was like I need to get out of that circle. So I left and found myself. I took my guitar and a couple of suitcases, and here I was in Vancouver, and then my guitar sat in the corner of the room for another 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So it's not like I went to Vancouver and all of a sudden started doing music.
Yeah.
It was, I guess I just had to step back and refine my love of what I was doing, because I'd lost my way.
Yeah.
Or my love of it.
Yeah.
Because obviously when I first started back to Westdale and all that, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And then, maybe it didn't take me where I wanted to go. I obviously had like a lot of disappointments along the way.
Yeah. And to make it at all, you have to have so much belief and passion and pour yourself into it, especially at that young age, that it takes a real toll. And when you have done that, where it's like you realize that, I've kind of pushed it as far as I can go, it's either stop doing what you're doing, change completely what you're doing, or change locations.
Yeah, and changing location was the best thing that I could do for me, for my psyche, and getting away from it and having my guitar sort of in the room. And then, I guess over like a 3-4 year period, slowly I started picking it up. And it was, I guess, a lot of confidence thing too, where I didn't believe in myself anymore, where it's like, geez, I can't do this. And I'd write, or, and something clicked, it's not, I don't remember the date. It wasn't like, a particular, moment.
It didn't happen overnight.
But it's sort of just, slowly, I guess I got a little recorder, a little digital recorder that cost me a couple $100 from the music store. And I started, again, I guess, back to my basics of having this little recorder and making these little animals. Yeah. And then boom, 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 maybe like, a couple weeks later, a couple months later, all of a sudden I have like, 10, 20 ideas, and and you're looking back and see, hey, maybe I got something again. Maybe it's starting to happen. And then I went and I answered an ad in, I sort of searched out a bit. I had a few musical friends who had been there before, and I ended up sort of hitting a gentleman called Doug Fury. And he had a studio, and his background was with Biff Naked. He played guitar with her for quite a few years and songwriting partner with her. And he ended up sort of taking me in and getting his drummer and playing the bass and doubling up on the guitar. And we did 3 songs. And that's kind of where I really sort of started forming like and he helped, boost my musical creativity again. Right. And very supportive, and I did 3 songs with him, and that was like within a month period in the winter time, and then that's kind of still not leading up to the CD that I have now, but that's kind of like the first initial, like from moving to Hamilton to Vancouver, that's where I started picking up music again, was sort of really getting and finding that confidence is like, hey, you know what, I do have something that I can say. Not only to, and it's more like, I guess it's like a therapy thing too, yes. Where it's like, I feel, I've actually created something and listen back to it. And, whether I feel sad or good or whatever, or pissed off, it's like it's release. Yeah. It's, it's out of my body and it's a complete song and I'm happy with it. And now I can feel proud and say, hey, and play it for somebody else. Because that's always been, something too, where you might do a recording or whatever, but maybe it's not that good, or maybe you could have had a few more hours in the studio if we had a bit more money. But now I was at the point was like, you know what, this is it captured the moment. Mm-hmm. Now it's done, move on. Yeah. And sort of getting into that cycle again of finishing these little animals, completing them, and moving on and growing as a musician.
Wonderful. So when did the idea, like this latest offering, which we're going to put the links up on the site. It's Gavin O Sullivan, Postcards to the Hammer. When did the first seeds of this start to sow? Was it in that project, or did this lead you to this project? It was a bit of that project. That project, the 3 songs that I recorded at the beginning, were more of rock band oriented, because I think it was more of like my past sort of still there. Right. Because that's sort of what I knew. Yeah. Playing in a band, big guitars, rock it out. You're hearing the arrangement in your head.
Hearing the arrangements in my head. Yeah. And then when I actually thought about it and sort of took a step back from that, kind of realized, you know what, that's not where I want to go. Now I'm free to do music the way I want, as far as it's a new path for me, and I got this acoustic guitar, and I started writing more acoustically. And that sort of, I think, really sort of honed me into starting the project. So I went back to the same gentleman, Doug, and it was actually kind of an accident. Not an accident, but it was kind of through another person, because he was going to do, he was filming a video where he wanted me to contribute to do a cover of his song. It was called "Oh World," and he would film everybody from different walks of or different types of styles of music, but doing the same song.
Right.
So my version was supposed to be sort of like a busking sort of street version or whatever, right? So as musicians do, we swap a lot of sort of, hey, I'll do this for you, then you do this for me. So I was going to do an outside video for him, so I said, okay, well then you can just record me one of my songs in the studio. So he came down and recorded one song in the studio off the CD that I have now, and it was acoustic oriented, and it clicked. Something happened there where it's like, yes, that's where I'm supposed to be going.
Right.
So it happened at the time, I guess, where everything was coming together creatively for me, and then I started on this new path of making this album. So
do you want to set the people going with a track from the CD, or do you want to play a video?
Falling asleep.
Fall asleep. So do you want to stand up? What's your preference?
I think the blood's not quite happening in my foot right now.
Okay, well let's play the video first, because it's on YouTube.
And this is the video in Stanley Park?
In Stanley Park.
Okay, cool.
Love, Joy, Happiness.
Love, Joy, and Happiness.
From barbershoppodcast.com, coming to you live.
I work hard every day to find my voice, to find my way. Then I laugh, then I cry. I'm gonna sing until I find love, joy, and happiness. You can beat me down, I will rise. I won't be so heavy. Give you my heart unconditionally. Love, joy, and happiness. Am I free, or am I bound by these chains that are holding me down? What's the cost? What's your fee? Am I lost upon the seas? Love, joy, and happiness. I don't know where you are, where you could be. I just hope you're happy. Send you my heart, send it back to me. Love, joy, love, joy, love, joy, and happiness. Love, joy, and happiness. Ooh, 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 ooh. I work hard every day to find my voice, to find my way.
Love, joy, happiness. You gotta love joy and happiness, and you gotta love the Big Hollow Tree in Stanley Park, British Columbia. Gavin O Sullivan, someone who, with All Good Children and a number of other bands, broke part of this scene in Hamilton, kept it alive, kept it flowing. He's back for a short visit. He's bringing some of the things that he's produced out there. Still has a great affinity and a love for Hamilton, and he's going to play live in the studio one of the tunes that you can get off his new CD, A Postcard to the Hammer. But here from Barbershop Podcast, we're going to give you Static from Gavin O Sullivan.
Think I'll go get the news, 'cause I like all the abuse, and I need a holiday. See, got something that I wanna say. Baby, I'm the static. Baby, you're just pain. Baby's got religion. Oh, baby, you're to blame. Think I'll go get some booze. Ooh, 'cause I like it when I'm chewed. Then I stumble and then I fall. But she like lightning and I'm over 5 foot tall. Baby, I'm just static. Baby, you're just pain. Baby's got religion. Oh, baby, you're to blame. Think I'll go get some shoes, bright shiny red and new. Then I see you in the halls, but you're wrong to think that everything is gonna be alright and we are gonna get along, yeah right. And baby, I'm just static. Baby, you're just pain. Baby's got religion. Oh, baby, you're to blame. Baby, I'm just static. Baby, you're just pain. Baby's got religion. Oh, baby, I'm to blame. I'm to blame.
Gavin O Sullivan at barbershoppodcast.com, where we try to feed you every little bit of what you want. And even if you don't know you want it, we're going to give it to you. Coming to you live from Boxo Studio, we are showcasing Gavin O Sullivan, who is playing tonight. You're going to be sitting in at the Baltimore House, or are you just going there to have a drink and a good time?
A little bit, maybe a little bit of both. I've never been there, so should be an interesting situation.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those places where
I heard it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, it isn't set up in a big stagey kind of area like Corktown, but it's intimate, and for a singer-songwriter, it's a great room, you know, to work from.
And since I've left, the 9 years, I've been back here periodically. But there has definitely been I've seen, different clubs seem to really sort of be, or clubs in support of art and music really seem to still be and growing, buzzing here,
Yeah.
which is really nice to see.
I'm curious because I lived with someone who worked for a big publicist in Toronto, and when she moved to Hamilton, and this is before, there was any kind of faddism to Hamilton, within the musical community, when she said she lived in Hamilton as someone who was born and raised in Toronto, she didn't expect the kind of positive response she got from the musicians going, "Oh, that's cool."
Right.
You know, I'm interested to know, in your 9 years, clearly you still kind of pick up with your radar what people musically feel about Hamilton. What's the rep that Hamilton's got, you know, on the West Coast?
Because in Vancouver, there's a lot of people who aren't from the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
They're all from London. They're all from Winnipeg.
Yes, it's true.
They're all
People
from
go to the
Calgary.
edges.
They're all transplants.
Yeah.
So they sort of have, you know, I mean, of course, there's people from Vancouver, but generally, I think, you know, it's more of just the bands that do actually, you know, break out of that and travel, and the reputation is excellent.
Yeah.
You know, Hamilton does. Oh, you know, why do so many bands, you know, support one another there? And you know, why is there? You know, people ask, you know, what's in the drinking water? You know.
Yeah, and I think it's a
and
little
they
bit
ask
of
me about
tough love.
Supercrawl, and you know,
Yeah.
like they, you know, kind of like, you know, what's going on there in studios and.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that the municipal officials are starting to realize, that this is actually an economic driver in so many ways.
Yes.
You know, we're in a post-industrial age. What does Hamilton produce better than anyone, or as good as anyone, on a regular basis? And music and the arts has been there for a long, long time. You know,
Nice.
We're in a real nice crossroads, and we're at a very, very good time for musicians. And, you know, live venues and the people who are willing to showcase live music, because clearly that's got to be a big part for you, right? Recording's nice, but getting out and playing live, do you still get that thrill that you got from your first gigs?
Absolutely. And not being in it for a while. And just as an example, that song Static, that's a song that I wrote with the Rayburns back on Wellington Street. Or is it Wentworth? Maybe Wentworth.
I've lived here 20 years and I still can mix them up, you know.
Anyway, it's down by Barton Street. That's all you need to know. And we had a crappy little rehearsal spot that had, you know, a bunch of bands that sort of practiced in there. Or sorry, we split it with another band, but in the whole building there was a bunch of bands that practiced. And it was just a smelly little hole that we paid $100 a month for, but it was our creative spot, right? Mm-hmm. So we wrote a song. We wrote the song. Static was a lot more, I guess, more of a rock song. So now playing it live, 15, 20 years, 17 years later, it still gets this reception.
Yeah.
But because I'm doing differently, whatever. Excuse me. Or whatever. The dogs.
No, the dog. Just security.
Security, yeah. Someone's trying to bust in. Okay, it's probably Wayne. No, that like you said, that live feeling of not being there for a while. Now, I just love playing.
Yeah.
I'll just, especially like a house concert or something where it's intimate. I played this place in Vancouver. It's called the Vapor Lounge. So you can, imagine that it's above the Amsterdam Cafe. So it's very sort of oriented to the 420 and Mark Emery sort of culture.
Mindset, yes.
And they have the volcano set up on your on the couches and on the tables, and you got your couches, and everybody gets their weed and they smoke up.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different audience.
Yeah.
Because sure, I love playing in a bar, and it's you can be raucous and sort of loud, but you play at a place where everybody's getting high, and you can't hear a pin drop for the most part.
They're absolutely immersed in what you're doing.
Absolutely immersed in what you're doing,
yeah.
which is great for the musician that's playing, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than I see somebody, and it doesn't matter how nice the PA is, if he's struggling or she's struggling to be heard over someone who finds the PA annoying and has to speak louder, and then the person next to them has to speak louder, and you're a club with 150 people or 80 people, and 6 people can ruin a show because of booze, and
yeah.
It's unfortunate that music has been intrinsically tied to the booze market forever.
Yes.
And I have a great hope that there was more smoking rooms, soft seaters, that people who traditionally would go to a soft seater and would listen to a group, they still exist. But if they were able to imbibe, and they're not necessarily drinkers, there's a whole market of people who find it hard to find a live venue to play right now.
Right.
So I want to talk about the recording and the production of this CD, because I listened to it and it has a real live feel to it.
Cool.
You know? So tell me about the process. How long did it take to record? Where did you record it? And did you leave it unscathed, or did you leave a chunk of you behind?
I personally, I was talking about before, I think it totally captured a moment. I'm completely happy with it. When I started it out, I ended up doing sort of one song a month. Once I got the one song and felt the energy for that, you know, partially it's a money thing, but partially it's sort of like, you know, so each time I had a month to sort of listen back of what I was doing. So it was a slow process, but at the same time, each time it kind of built, and each song, each time I went back, there was a new confidence, and there was like sort of like, so by the end, or sort of by the middle, you know, I was ripping out 2-3 songs a session. And so at the end, you know, I started, you know, I had about 10 songs, and then was whittled it down to, you know, 10 or 12 songs, sort of some of half ideas, and wheedled it down to 7. Actually, I wanted 6, or I didn't think the one song should be on it, but then Doug was like, no, you should actually put...
Always listen to your producer.
Yeah, he said, you know what? And it's the last song on the CD, and it's more of a ballad called "Catch My Heart." And I was like, yeah, okay, we'll put that on there. But as far as the live thing goes, back in Hamilton, after college, just to kind of get the live thing in, I remember walking into Grand Avenue Studio, and this is when I kind of was basically told in college, look, your marks suck. You got to get your marks up, or, you know, you're going to be booted out. So it's like they said you have to get a placement. All right. So I went out and think, okay, where can I get a placement? So I thought, okay, well, I'll go to Grand Avenue Studio. I'll go to the, you know, the bomb. I'll go to the bomb. You know, if I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail huge. So I remember walking into the studio, you know, on a nice day, and talking to Bob Deutsch, who was there, and saying, hey, you know, this is my situation. I'm in college. I'm really into music. You know, can I like hang out and get a placement here? So he said, yeah, all right, sure. So for 6 months, I spent 6 months in the studio seeing these bands like the Sky Diggers and Cowboy Junkies and some local bands, and this is when Robin Obey and the Progressive Minstrels were around, and sort of that whole sort of just sitting back, you know, getting coffee for people, making sure the mics were all sort of hooked up, and I learned sort of a lot about studio recording, the real deal, right? Yeah. So, okay, back to the question, sort of fast forward, here I am now doing a live recording and thinking, you know, gee, Daniel Lanois, you know, how would he do this? And he's like, you know, the pinnacle, you know, one of the top Hamilton producers, it's, you know, musicians, you know, amazing, you know, producer. And from what I remember anyway, I know that he used a lot of live sort of wedges, or live, instead of using headphones for when you record, just having a wedge and recording live. Yeah. It's like you're on the stage. And so this is what I wanted to do. And Doug hadn't really done this before because, you know, there's issues with like bleeding and with certain things, and you have to have a solid take. You can't just do half a song and then do like the other half. You have to do the song from the beginning to the end. So it was like, okay, well, you know, I had to really practice my ass off, and said, okay, you know, I got to get these songs down that I'm recording. So each month I'd work on the song, come in, and, you know, pretty much, I guess being a drummer helped my meter. So I was able to sort of, you know, at least have a decent meter, and I was able to sort of cut all these songs without a click track, because I didn't want the click track, because then that takes away from part of your brain. Yeah. Part of your brain's listen to this click, click, click. And so this is totally live off the floor, and then added the instruments afterwards.
You know, and that's the way I love to work too, because it's like everything that is played after that fact embodies the song, because the song is,
the core is there.
It's the core is there.
Yeah.
And you could have the same bass player play on 5 different tracks, and it sounds like 5 different bass players, because they're feeding off. And it's so much harder to do it the other way when you're doing the traditional method of working off of the drum and bass. Yeah. You know. So I'm thinking of playing My Earthquakes first off the CD. Okay. Any little story about that one?
Well, that was actually the first song that I was talking about that sort of had the nucleus of, you know, getting back into this. So that's a good choice. It was just, a song that I was working with this female singer. And I, you know, you try different things as a musician. I was trying, okay, well, hey, she could just sing the songs, and I'll just, you know, sit back here and play some guitar. And it didn't quite work out. We maybe, tried for about 6 months working on different songs. And this is all kind of while this process was, or just before this process was happening. And My Earthquakes came out of it. Because I remember her going home, and then I was kind of like, I wrote this song sort of like right after she left, because you get, when you work with somebody, you get like a buzz, a creative buzz that you don't get, that you can get from another, like a different.
That you don't get when you're with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
you wanted to grab that moment.
And I grabbed that moment, and then I remember the next time we got hung out, I played her the song, and she really liked it, and then we started working on that. So that was a song from that I ended up that was the first song that I grabbed to record, and it's a little bit of story there.
A little bit of story for My Earthquakes here from Gavin O Sullivan, Postcards to the Hammer. You're going to want to hear this one. This is My Earthquakes at barbershoppodcast.com.
Shake, lights are on and you're awake. Your cobweb eyes are blinking out the sun. There's always so much to do. Your world is moving fast on you. You're late again and this week's just begun. Cause all you got is so damn good, but your head's buried far beneath the hood. You don't notice when you make my earthquakes. My earthquakes, my earthquakes, my earthquakes. You always say it could be worse, digging out from all this dirt. I wish I had your sense of beautiful. Cause every day you wash away, push off all of your decay. Somehow you turn copper into gold. Cause all you got is so damn good, but your head's buried far beneath the hood. You don't notice when you make my earthquakes. My earthquakes. My earthquakes. My earthquakes. Ooh. Lullaby, cross my heart and swear to die. Your cobweb eyes are blinking out the sun. There's always so much to do. This world is caving in on you. You're late again, and this week's already done. Cause all you got is so damn good, but your head's buried far beneath the hood. You don't notice when you make my earthquakes. My earthquakes, my earthquakes, my earthquakes, my earthquakes.
My earthquakes. And my earthquaked. Did your earthquake a little bit there, Ryan?
My earthquaked a lot.
It did. It was good times.
That just doesn't.
There's good laugh
right.
and there's good times. Gavin O Sullivan, one hell of a good man, and he's from Hamilton, Ontario, and that's one of the main reasons he's here. And he's here to play a little more live music, and he's going to do
on our new live setup.
Our new live setup.
This is brand new.
Normally we're pretty hard ass. We make people play from the couch, and Gav's like, I just can't be grooving from the couch.
He shut it down as soon as he got here.
As soon as he got here, he's like, sure, Steve Foster and Dave brave can do it, you know.
Again, I'm not doing that.
But I'm not doing that. I'm standing up, and we went, because we like you.
But it works. Now we got a cool new solo acoustic setup.
There we go.
Yeah, stick them in the corner.
Necessity is a mother of invention.
Yeah.
Speaking of mothers, got a mother of a song for you. Gavin O Sullivan. It's one that is available on his new CD, but we're going to give you the live version because we can do that. So here we have Together, a song by Gavin O Sullivan, here at barbershoppodcast.com.
All right.
Forgive my love, I know you can. When there's supper in the oven and a master plan. I lost my wallet and there's nothing in the cupboard. I wash the dishes, I clean the sink. I'm gonna watch a movie. Give me time to think about all the times that we had together. All the times that we had together. All the times that we had together. I pop some pills to ease my pain. Stumble down the stairs and fall on my ass again. You laugh at me, say it's time to take out the garbage. I stayed up all night playing truth or dare, telling stories of places that we shared, and we fell asleep in each other's arms in the basement. All the times that we had together. All the times that we had together. Don't forget my love. Don't erase my heart from all this pleasure. Don't forget my love. Don't break my heart, for I will always treasure all the times that we had together. All the times that we had together. Forgive my love, I know you will. Winter's coming now, I can feel the chill. I lost my money and there's nothing in the cupboard. I wash my clothes in the laundromat. They spin forward, they spin back. It reminds me of the times we had together. All 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 the times we had together.
Together. Gavin O Sullivan, Postcards to the Hammer, a Hammertonian who has left us, but he's still with us in his heart and his soul. And he came back, probably courtesy WestJet. Flew right into Hamilton, Ontario. The direct flight. I don't think you didn't go into Pearson or anything, did you?
No, I went to Pearson. That was a nightmare.
Yeah, fucker. What are you doing?
That was a nightmare, let me tell you.
You don't want to do that. Let me tell any great musician who wants to come to Hamilton to play and be on Barbershop Podcast, you can fly into,
Mount Hope?
Should
Are we fishing
No,
for
did they shut her down? They probably shut that down.
What?
You probably can, I don't know.
WestJet?
Yeah.
No.
You can still fly in, because I used to be able to fly directly Vancouver Island or Vancouver or
Flying out of Hamilton is the best thing in the world. That's the hidden gem in travel that people don't even realize.
You got like 30 seconds between the time you get out. Customs.
I go to Cuba. I pay the extra $100 just to fly out of Hamilton. It's
so
the best.
Great.
Oh yeah,
so great. And then you can sit down.
Learned.
Oh yeah.
And your dealer can meet you in the parking lot for that. Give you that joint that you've been waiting for 3 weeks.
It came in on that Pure Later plane anyway.
Yeah. Directly from Montreal, from Serge.
Yeah.
All it says is Serge on the front. That's from me. That's for me. So anyway, playing live, recording music, it's been part of your life. Is there a certain point where you're like, once you've recommitted to the musical scene, do you kind of see it as with a jaundice eye where I'll put one arm around you, or are you like embracing it and humping it like it's your high school sweetheart?
I'm humping it like it's my high school sweetheart.
That's, I think, the only way you can really do it, right?
I like I said, maybe there is a because I have been out of it for quite a while. There's a total re-immersion in it. It's also a complete different dog.
Yeah,
it's a completely different girlfriend,
yeah,
or whatever. Like that, it doesn't. Yeah, there's because obviously 4 or 5 years ago, the whole social media thing. I mean, that was maybe just coming into. People were trying to figure it out. Hey, where's it going? What are we doing with this? Oh, geez, I got a cell phone. Smartphones weren't even happening there.
They weren't that smart.
It was just it was a dumb phone.
It was a dumb phone.
It was a dumb phone, dumbass phone. And then so that is a completely different I mean, sure, the music is a whole new relearning, but now it's the whole social media thing. Is just like, geez, how the hell do I reach people?
Yes, and you have to take that burden. It's not burden, but it's a job.
It's a total job.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You can't go in and say, who's going to do this or am I going to do this? If you're going to do it, like selling your soul, and that's hard for artists in a lot of cases, right? It's like these aren't songs I'm writing about Mercury's, and it's not necessarily a Billy Bob song. A lot of especially singer-songwriter stuff, it's very personal.
Yeah.
And to go out and sell it's a tough gig sometimes.
Absolutely.
How do you find that? You just wrap them up as songs, and when they go out there, that's my jam of a song, and if you want to interpret it your way, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been rejected quite a lot in my music career. Where you play for rooms of 4 or 5 people if you're lucky, or you play for rooms of hundreds of people, and sometimes, you just get that sort of, people stick up their nose, or they're not listening. Yeah. Maybe you have bad sound. There's a lot of factors, and or maybe you get off the stage and you hit them and geez, I just killed it. It was awesome, and then nobody cares.
Yeah,
it's what are you talking about?
That's the worst. That was the best I played.
Yeah, I just rocked my ass off for an hour, and you totally ignored me. And other times, you'll play crap, and then people will come, oh, that was awesome. I want to buy a CD, and so yeah, I mean, you kind of, I guess, just become you just have. I mean, I've really sort of got it down to where I write for myself. It's all about sort of.
Yeah, you have to. At the end of the day, that's what you have to do.
At the end of the day, and maybe it took me a while to really figure this out, but at the end of the day, you have to be happy with it, and you're the salesman of it, right? Yeah. If you don't sell it in a sense of if you don't own it and believe in it,
yes,
nobody else is going.
Those are the key words. You believe in it and you own it.
Yeah, and. And now I feel, maybe there's points in my past where, maybe it was up and down, but now it's just boom, it's there. Did that work on audio all right?
Yeah, it sounded fantastic. And it didn't pop anything.
Sounded brilliant.
You know what?
A little bit of echo.
I've got a segue. All right, Ed. You know what else does sound excellent? Another song, right?
Right.
I'd like to play something off of, and this is what, of course, caught my eye, but the song's very good as well. Sex Machine.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about Sex Machine, because we're going to play Catch My Heart last, because I like the story of that song.
Okay.
But Sex Machine, tell me about Sex Machine.
Sex Machine. That was another song written by the Rayburns. And it was definitely sort of a big rock type of song. Written in the mindset of a 25, 26-year-old single guy.
Absolutely.
Sort of partying. He wakes up to a different partner, or she wakes up to a different partner
on a regular basis.
Yeah, just that sort of I guess, and the term "sex machine," I was thinking of the James Brown, "Ow, I'm a sex machine," or however that song goes. That wasn't probably it, but something like that. And that sort of, I guess, stem from that. But obviously, it's nothing like that song. But that term is has been used in a lot of different sort of rock songs or different things.
It's got weight.
It's got weight, and yeah, that's just sort of where the song came from, and. So now it's kind of changed. It sort of got this accordion in it. It sort of ended up sort of morphing in with the accordion player that I had, Nathan Schubert. we just added some accordion on it, and it just worked. It had this kind of weird, wacky. Well, you'll hear it. I have to explain it, but it has kind of a different vibe to it now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you get to hear it here at Barbershop Podcast, Sex Machine, from Gavin O Sullivan's latest CD, Postcards to the Hammer. BarbershopPodcast.com.
Looking for a better day, hoping that you feel awake. I'm hungover, she's my dream. She said I was a sex machine. Give it once, give again, stripped down to my skin. We lay beneath the sun, we lay beneath the sun. Yeah, sex machine. Give it once, give again, strip down to my skin. We lay beneath the sun, we lay beneath the sun. Take me in, take me hard, smile at the motor car. It's pointed down the lane, I couldn't wait, I separate the pain. She said yeah, sex machine. Give it once, give it twice, to the one you think is nice. Point your ears to my son, point your ears to my son. Give me a gun, sex machine. She said yeah, sex machine. See, my heart is beating, you know I love to go. See, my heart is beating, yeah, sex machine, sex machine, yeah, sex machine. Looking for a better day, hoping that you feel awake. I'm hungover, she's my dream. She said I was a sex machine.
BarbershopPodcast.com, where you get videos and you get brand new releases and you get previously unheard songs. And we've got one here that has not been played for anyone in the media, and you get to hear it here, live at Barbershop Podcast. You'll thank me in the morning. This is Sitting, Drinking, Thinking Blue by Gavin O Sullivan.
Home is where I should be, but I'm here on the road. Do you miss me, or am I a rogue? Am I a rogue? All the roads I travel lead me farther away from you, but I'm still sitting, drinking, thinking blue. passing me by, and I wanna sleep in. I really wanna sleep in. Do you still need me, or have we gone cold, freezing cold? All the clocks are ticking time bombs for you, but I'm still sitting, drinking, thinking blue.
Sitting, drinking, thinking blues by Gavin O Sullivan here at Barbershop Podcast. Gavin has been, around Hamilton, and he hasn't been around Hamilton, and the ghosts that are left behind are sometimes magical. And he's experiencing now the love that comes from the musical community. He's come back in for a little whirlwind visit, whirlwind tour. He's going to be down at the Baltimore House tonight. He's brought a whack of his new CDs at
Corktown tomorrow.
Corktown Tavern, 175 Yonge Street in Hamilton. Another great place to see live music. I want to spin one more tune before we say goodbye tonight, and this is the song that you alluded to, refreshes again a little bit on Catch My Heart, and a ballad, something soft. How did it spring to life?
Yeah, that was kind of a song that was sort of like, I guess it's kind of got a bit more of a country feel than I'm used to, and sometimes a song pulls you in a direction that you're not sure, like, geez, like it almost... It becomes its own sort of little beast.
Yeah.
And it's beyond your control. And all along when Doug and I did this recording, it was always let the song be the guide and you are the slave to the song.
Yeah, and you probably fought it for a long time.
And there was a fighting, yeah, absolutely, and fighting that and fighting it. And Doug was just like, no, just let it go. Just let it go. Just, it is what it is. And it was, because it was different, I thought of cutting it, and because I wasn't really used to that really sort of country feel. But now I listen back to it, and it sort of has a nice piano on it, again done by Nathan Schubert, who has been playing the accordion on it, and just our nice sort of nice piano sound, and it sort of turned into like a bit of a ballad, which again I wasn't used to doing this sort of a ballady song, but it's a nice breakup of
Yeah. And quite often you get so engrossed in your own project that when a producer hears something and makes a stand, because they don't do it easily, when they say, no, I hear something, you got to let this one go. Quite often that's the strongest, or the one that resonates with the people to the greatest extent. So I'm excited that you get to hear it. I love it. It's a great song. Catch My Heart.
Thanks.
From Gavin O Sullivan, Postcards to the Hammer, here at barbershoppodcast.com.
I'm not good with money, but I got big plans. You don't want me, baby, and I understand. I got a hole in my pocket and a hole in my shoes, and a 7-year itch that I've been through. But I'm doing alright, I'm doing my part. See, I'm a fool for believing in my heart so much, but just keeps beating, it keeps on beating through the rain and the slush in a pigeon park. I try not to stumble out into the dark. Imagine you would live with me in a crooked house with a willow tree, and the laneway would wind to the lake. I'll catch my heart before it breaks. We'll make love in the morning, and after we're done, we'll lie there laughing. The day's begun. I'll make eggs and waffles and squeeze you some juice. Go to the zoo, let all the animals loose. Yeah, but they're doing their part. They're doing all right. Imagine you would live with me in a crooked house with a willow tree, and the laneway would wind to the lake. I'll catch my heart before it breaks. I might sound like just a fool, I might sound like just a fool. Be fantastic to be with you in our kingdom, that would be so cool. But I'm not good with money, and I got big plans of walking down the street, kicking the garbage can. I got a hole in my pocket and a hole in my shoes. 7-year itch that I've been through. Imagine you could live with me in a crooked house with a willow tree, and the laneway would wind to the lake. I catch my heart before it, I catch my heart before it, I catch my heart before it breaks.
Catch My Heart from Gavin O Sullivan off his latest, oh no, actually it's off his latest bestest CD. Available, got a website?
It's on Facebook. You can either hook up with my name, Gavin O Sullivan, or my music page is Gavos Music, Gavos Music.
We'll post some links too on the barbershop.podcast.com.
That's right. For those of you who can't wait for the end.
And soon it will be digital download. I'm just kind of working that out with the big record companies.
It's a whole process, right? Because I remember when I did my last bunch of CDs, I talked to someone and they're like, Kevin, no one buys CDs anymore. But still, having product and putting it out is important.
Although I went to the Vancouver Folk Festival this year, and just as just a quick thing about that, like when they were selling tons of CDs, like really music lovers. And vinyl and digital downloads also too, like digital download cards. Mm-hmm. But the CDs were going, from a lot of different acts, and I'm not sure about the other folk festivals or other festivals, but I'm sure that they're probably
merch
pretty
is
similar,
a huge part of it, right? And I think if you can engage a crowd, you can sell CDs.
Yeah.
Well, you engaged us. Thank you so much for coming out to
I really enjoyed it.
Barbershop Podcast. You're lucky. I'm lucky. We're all lucky to be born in a world.
Just to be born.
Just to be born, period. Let alone in a world where we can enjoy such beautiful music all the time. Absolutely. And we certainly get a chance to do it here at Boxo Studio. Gav, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And Ryan, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Hey.
Pumping, feeding the coal into the old machine.
Yeah, I kept her going.
And Elvis. Can't forget Elvis.
Yeah, thanks, Elvis.
1935 to 1977.
I don't think we've ever actually showed that. This is what's right beside my desk.
Yeah, I think
the old Boxo
that's
studio.
probably from the CNE circa 1979.
No.
Yeah, like that. Oh, that is.
That'll have to move over to the new control room.
Yes, new control room. Boxo Studio is constantly evolving, just like mankind.
Big Boxo renovation next week.
You know it. So next week's show is a bit of a mystery right now, but I'm sure you're going to love it because I know we're going to love it.
Yeah.
Gavin, thanks again for coming in.
Cheers.
All right, guys. Everyone, thank you for watching. See you next week, barbershoppodcast.com.
See you.